What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to Pop Health, and today we're going to be talking about two different cases related to summer related incidents such as drownings as well as heat related strokes. One is in the case of Emilie Kiser with the passing of her son Trigg, as well as the case of a local athlete, Brian Williams, passing away after running a marathon. And so, discussing the first case, basically Trigg Kiser, a 3-year-old son to influencer Emilie Kiser right here, passed away on Sunday after being pulled from his pool or family pool. This took place in Arizona, and Maricopa County Medical Examiner Office confirmed his unaliving, saying it occurred on May 18th, the past Sunday. His name was Trigg Kiser, son of Emilie Kiser right here. Her page is focused on her family. She's a mommy influencer, and so primarily is going to be focused on family. And while I have a hate boner for mommy influencers, this is not the case to do it because this is a sensitive subject. And I note the medical examiner hasn't released a report yet, and it's not ready, and no official cause of the unaliving has been caused or put in the preliminary report. But public officials from the Chandler Police Department have said that Trigg Kiser passed away after being pulled from a backyard pool days earlier and was not responding to treatment at the hospital. And they have opened an investigation into the incident to see if there's any negligence and all that. So as of right now, it has not been stated what happened, where Emilie was at. It's a lot of speculation online to do it, and we're going to dive into that now. So as you can see, Emilie Kiser is very popular on social media, about to be 4 million followers, and pretty much there's a lot of videos talking about pool safety, just kind of speculating about what happened, just people reporting on it, as well as a lot of misinformation going on about the case. For example, neurodivergent Nate, a friend of the channel, go watch my video on him, basically bashed the parents for having a child being unalived in the pool or drowning in the pool.
Your 3-year-old drown in your backyard pool. Emilie Kiser is the mother in question, whose 3-year-old son was found in their backyard in Arizona by first responders to be unresponsive, and they pulled him out of the pool and immediately began CPR, where he is now at a hospital.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to get you to note, this child was three, and if you haven't been around children, you can't really speak upon this topic. And it shows that Nate, as well as a lot of people, don't have children or never been around children in like an extended capacity. Children wander, children are curious. I almost passed away and drowned in multiple instances in my early, before I was 10, because I'm curious about water, or I just slip in the pool and just like my mom had to save me. So at the end of the day, discussing about whether whose fault it is and all that, it could ultimately be that, hey, he just got out and just got into the pool and no one noticed until it was too late, because Emilie Kiser also has a newborn. And so that's no excuse not to be cognizant of your other children or making sure your other children are okay. You need to be responsible ultimately for all your kids, but at the end of the day, it's so easy for these incidents to happen. And let me pull up some statistics right now. So pretty much drowning is the leading cause of unaliving for children. Drowning can be fatal or non-fatal, as well as non-fatal drownings can result in long-term health problems and costly hospital stays. Just going into just the case of it, about 4,000 fatal unintentional drownings happen each year. That is about 11 drownings per day. And in the United States alone, more children's ages 1 to 4 die from drowning than any other cause of unalivings. And for children ages 5 to 14, drowning is the second leading cause of unintentional injury, including being unalive due to motor vehicle accidents. So at the end of the day, drownings can happen to anybody. It can happen to older adults and stuff too. For example, if you're on a barge, like a lot of you college students are, you have a higher risk of being unalived due to drowning, because one, alcohol and drug use is involved, as well as 9 times out of 10 you might not be wearing a life jacket. It's so easy for stuff to go into a haha funny good time, you're drinking with your buddies and stuff, to someone actually passing away in the water and stuff. I think there was also an incident a few days ago where there was a even sober young man who tried to save 4 children out of, I think, Georgia, Atlanta, I can't remember, but pretty much a guy tried to save children, and he ended up passing away while the children were being saved. and he wasn't on alcohol. So making videos like this in a time of just like there's extreme grieving, there's extreme despair, and really like as much as you can prevent drownings from happening, like accidents are still going to happen. Like you can be vigilant, you could have the pool net, you can have everything, but accidents are still going to happen, and you just need to be cognizant about like the space you're taking up and making sure you have empathy for the family until the police investigation is. Now if there's a police investigation that says she's being negligent, there's stuff going on at home, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be aware of, of just like, hey, she was being a terrible person, that's a whole different story, and then we can have speculation there. But it's too early to speculate whenever they're still in the grieving process. We haven't heard their side of the story, as well as the fact it's not our business until they make it our business. So at the end of the day, be kind to one another. Please just like give empathy where y'all need to, and just go into some tips about how y'all can prevent drownings and stuff. One, wear a life jacket. That's common sense, especially in open water and stuff, and it's not the most fun thing to do, but please wear a life jacket. But properly having full pool fencing can prevent young children from gaining access to the pool area without the caregiver's awareness. Now there was some videos that going on social media. I can't really confirm nor deny because we haven't heard any side of the story of Emilie Kiser and her husband, but there was a pool fence that wasn't installed properly on the residence, and that probably will cause Trigg to go in. Like I said, can't confirm nor deny that, but there is also speculation for that. But if you have a pool fence, then please have a proper one, as well as have your kids participate in formal swimming lessons and reduce the risk of drowning among children and adults. I was a teenager when I did swimming lessons. I was like 13. Yeah, I was 13, about to go into junior high. Like, it's embarrassing, don't get me wrong, but I now know enough to swim to save my life and to save the life of, let's say, my twin brother who has autism, my young family members, and being able to have that education is helpful. So no matter what age you're at, please learn how to swim. Teach your kids how to swim. To the very most, at least they can take care of themselves until the help arrives. So all in all, in a tragedy like this, like I said, please do as much as you can to prevent that from happening to your own children, and also laugh on Emilie. Just give her some time to grieve, and we'll go from there. And if there's any responsibility that she needs to take in this, like, it will be taken, but I'm pretty sure she's feeling it right now. So let's just chill out, y'all. Now moving on to the case of Brian Williams, basically a former Texas A&M football player that passed away at the age of 23. Hours for his unaliving, Williams competed in a half marathon in Irving on Sunday. He passed away from a heat stroke complications. His brother Riley Williams III have said. Williams was a former Texas A&M safety and four-star prospect in the 2019 recruiting class out of Bishop Dunn, and had a historic career in Aggieland. He was currently working in Dallas Fort Worth at the time after returning from A&M to earn an engineering degree. So when it comes to heat strokes, it's one of the many heat-related incidences that attributes to these type of unalivings in the U.S. During 2004 and 2018, on average, there was a 702 heat-related unalivings, 415 with heat as an unaliving cause, and 287 as a contributing cause occurred in the U.S. annually. Now, natural heat exposure was a contributing cause of unalivings attributed to certain chronic medical conditions, alcohol poisoning, and drug overdoses. I'm not gonna make any speculations on him, whether he was doing drugs, whether he was on alcohol, whatever. All measures of the case was that he was healthy. He was a college football athlete, for God's sake, so I would assume he was very much healthy, and he just graduated last year, so put two and two together, y'all. And during the same study, 10,527 unalivings were recorded related to exposure to heat. 90% of them occurred during the May and September months, usually the peak time for heat, because that is the summer months, especially during June through August. And although Arizona, California, and Texas account for approximately 23% of the U.S. population, these three states account for approximately 1/3 of heat-related unalivings, 37% of it among U.S. residents, along with 70% of heat-related unalivings occurred in males. And so, considering how hot Texas can get, like yesterday in Houston, it was about I think 90, like 95, and this is just like May hasn't ended yet. The Texas heat is very much powerful. It is, brutal. and it's something that you need to be aware of, especially if you come visit Texas. And the one thing I also want to note too is, like, as climate change has becoming more and more of a factor in our light summer, the heat stays longer. Like, summer, like I said, used to be from June to August, and now summer can exist from anywhere between early April, or into April, I mean, to the end of September. Even in cases in Houston, like, I don't even pull out my fall. I'm not talking about winter jackets. I'm talking about my fall attire, my little turtlenecks and stuff. I don't pull that out until mid-November, end of November last year to be exact, until, you know, the winter sets in. So heat is no joke. I would say heat is no joke, and it can overcome you easily. So to help y'all get through the heat and hot summers and stuff, obviously stay cool, stay in shade as much as possible, take breaks when you can, especially if you work outside. Now, I know there's a lot of things when it comes to working outside. You're allowed breaks, you're not allowed breaks, depending on where you work at and stuff. But if you are allowed breaks, please use that, and please drink a lot of water. Do outdoor activities such as running, jogging, exercise. It includes parts of the day, such as morning or evenings if possible, and try to do those indoors, please, y'all. Please, please, please. Outside, if you're gonna be outside for the summer, like some of y'all will be, carry a water bottle, drink and refill it throughout the day, and make sure where you're going to has refillable stations. If not, what I always usually do, I carry a bag full of water, ice them over during the day if I'm going hiking or if I'm going to walk in the park or something, and just have them like in your backpack, you know, just make sure you take care of yourself. Because like I had heat exhaustion one time, and when I tell you I was sick for a week, I was sick for a week. This is nothing to joke about, y'all. Please do that. Please do that. And notice the sign of symptoms when you're getting too hot: muscle cramps, unusually heavy sweating, shortness of breath, dizziness, headaches, weakness, nausea, you know, plus check air qualities that might affect, you know, how you taking air and stuff. And, you know, it could mean that, you know, you might have a harder time in the heat. It is also include keeping an eye on people who are higher risk, such as people with children, especially with asthma, people with heart disease, other current conditions, pregnant women, especially if you got a pregnant wife, make sure men take care of them, and people 65 years and older, especially, you know, especially our elderly, especially if they live alone. There's many elders in my family that almost passed away due to heat exhaustion because they lived alone, and, you know, not many of the kids and children are checking up on them. So please check up on grandma, please check up on grandpa, your aunties, your uncles, the neighbors, you know, little Miss Dorothy across the street, check up on her too, as well as people who are also working on or working, exercising outside in the heat, and infants and young children, as oftentimes they get overheated without exhaustion. And so these are the couple stories this week just to highlight how dangerous the summer is. I know everybody trying to be outside. I know everybody trying to, you know, be, you know, active and stuff, but please, 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 I cannot tell y'all enough, please take care of y'all people, please take care of your neighbors, and make sure you watch out for one another, and just make sure everyone stays cool, frosty during the summer. I know that's the slogan here, we ain't finna joke about this right now, but just make sure everyone's taking care of themselves, as well as make sure your kids are not falling into pools, make sure you are having a visual adult around, and make sure, you know, teaching your kids how to swim. These are essential things that not going to 100% prevent these incidents from happening, but I can attest for you, it lowers the risk factors, y'all. So please do that. But with that being said, that has been Pop Health, so be safe. As well, if you like my reactionary content, you will like this video about Dr. Mike and his reaction to vaccines, please go give that a like. But with that being said, be safe, be kind, and be true. Peace out, y'all. Y'all be easy.